You have to. There we go.
Yeah.
Hello, all. Welcome to Social Security and Your Quota What Nobody Tells You, a special presentation from Thrive Hive Valencia with Rob Koo, who is joining us from Barcelona. So, this is our first online event with the Meetup, but hopefully you're all in a nice air conditioned apartment or cafe or co working facility, and we can stay a little bit more comfortable today. And this is a great topic. The reason I started the meetup is because, my passion in business is helping solopreneurs and entrepreneurs figure out how to get everything going. And being new in Spain myself and being on the verge of registering on Autónomo myself, I'm not there yet, wanted to start digging into all things Autónomo. But Social Security seems to be the stickiest topic, the least understood, the most misquoted, and luckily I found Rob on the Facebook groups that he's been deep diving on this for a while and has a lot of great information for us. I'm going to drop some links in the chat. I'll probably drop them again at the end. But just there is a document that Rob has put together that you're free to download. If you have any questions, we're going to capture that through a Google form. And because what's going to happen is this is a preview. This is Rob's first time going through it. But we're going to come back in probably late August, maybe early September after break, and do a little bit more refined version of this. That's where we promote a little bit more. So your questions, one, you will get answers, but two, it's going to help drive a future version of this as well. And then if you've been following along, you may have seen the Google Doc that is the community sourced knowledge base that we're putting together. Brand new, you're all the first to know this. It's turning into a wiki. I found a friend to help launch that for us. So I put the link to the wiki out there if you want to see what's out there. Basically what's happening in our Thrive Hive Valencia events for the Autónomo information sharing is somebody asks a question and we go research it and then we document it and we put it in the Google Doc now to go to the wiki so that that is findable for people down the road. It includes like confidence ratings and like reminders to check in with your HESTOR or tax account and all that kind of stuff. But it's a resource we're trying to build out for everybody. And there are more questions queued up to go in there, so that will be growing in the near future. And then just a couple other links that may be of value to you. And I've taken way too long with this intro. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rob and let's learn all about being Autónomo, but more specifically Social Security and what nobody's telling us, because Rob is going to tell us.
Thank you very much, Vicky. I really appreciate it. And as Vicky said, this is a bit of a like an intro to an intro on the subject where because I'm very biased. I've been here. I've been doing this for 26, 11 years now, and I know a lot of things about it, but I don't really know what everybody else knows about it. So ever since 2016, 2017, 2018, when more and more of my friends were becoming autónomo, the fees, the social security fees, the monthly fees, the quotas, what a lot of people call it, they have been like the sticking like people talk about, oh my God, it's so like it's so expensive. Um and I want to talk about like what that gets you, how it's calculated, what everybody else pays in Spain as well. But also, I don't know what other people don't know, and I don't know what other people do know. So I'm going to show you some slides. I'm going to talk about some things. If it's something you know, let me know. But if it's something you really want to know more about, then just say it straight away. Like it's going to be very informal today. Like if you're not sure about something, just interrupt. Either stick your hand up if you're Jamie with your camera on, but no one else has the camera on, or say something. Like turn your microphone off, say something. Remember that you are muted. If you're in a place where there's not a lot of background noise, then unmute yourself and you can interrupt quite easily. Um, but yeah, what do people know already about being an autonomo? Jamie, you are not registered yet, or you're about to register. Jeff, I think you're in a similar place. Jeannie, now you said you've been doing it for over a year. So, are you available to speak at the moment, Jeannie? Could you tell us what you do know about being in Autonomo?
What do I know? I have a house store who got me set up, and I paid 80 something a month for the first year, and then the next year is based on your income, and so I'm paying about 440 a month.
Hmm. Hmm. And when your gestor said, "Okay, Jeannie, you're going to be paying 440 a month," did they tell you how they came to that number?
No, I pretty much trusted them.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. That's pretty much how a lot of people will go through this because you can't do everything. You need to be able to let go of some things and trust that things are getting done correctly for you. Um, does anyone know, does anyone have any things they hear about what it's like being an autonomo? Like things that they see online in Facebook groups, on Reddit, that they hear from other people they know, anything that always comes out a lot, open to anyone.
I have a question, Robert, where
Yeah.
it's a question slash I've seen other people also ask this question. Um, and we're still in the, like I said, my spouse has been autonomo now for since we moved, which is under a year. I'm about to register for myself. Um, and the thing that seems to freak a lot of people out, myself included, is that we pay the taxes, right? So you're paying taxes, and then separately from that fee is the autonomo fee. And I'm looking at the numbers, having not done it yet myself, and going like, do you get to keep any money? Like, how do people live if
Hmm.
you're just like paying? Like, so how does the autonomo factor into the taxes? Is anything like a write-off? I know write-offs here are different than what we're used to in the US, where you could write everything off. And I'm just wondering, like, how are people doing this sustainably?
That is the question, which is why I'm doing this. So hopefully over the course of this next like 30, 40 minutes or so, we're going to go through those things and build a bit of a picture for you, put some foundations in there. A quick one regarding like you're paying tax, you're paying Social Security. Um, all of your income comes in basic terms, all of your income comes in. Um, all your deductibles come off, and after you've taken off your deductibles, you work out how much your Social Security payment is. That comes out, and it's deducted as well, so that comes off, and then you pay your taxes. So your IRPF, your income tax, happens after you've paid your Social Security, which happens after you've deducted your expenses for your business as well. Um, but that is going to be a chunk of money. We'll get to that at the end. At the beginning, I want to talk about the benefits of the Social Security system, and then we'll talk about the cost of that system as well. And it's really useful to work out, well, how do you calculate that? Thank you for that, Jamie. Anybody else with anything else? All right. Well, then, I'm going to put on a couple of things that I often hear people saying. Autonomous pay way more taxes than employees. Um, I hear this a lot. I see it on Facebook groups. I hear it amongst people, and it's not really true. And I'm not calling anyone a liar. I'm just saying the calculation is we it looks like we pay more taxes because we're the ones seeing us pay all the taxes. We pay our social security fees, we pay our income tax. We're seeing everything go out, so it does look like we're paying that. But actually, autonomous do pay a little bit less when it comes to social security, just a little bit less, and we're going to come to that as well. Um, Another one is autonomos don't get any benefits or healthcare from that. Uh, Autonomos get exactly the same benefits as a regular employee in Spain does. And we're going to look specifically at those things right now. So let's look at the benefits of being an Autónomo. Hold on, let me just move the chat that I've got up from the Zoom as well. There we go. So what are the main benefits? What are we contributing towards with our Social Security payments? So the first one is the healthcare. Anyone in Spain, once they're paying Social Security, automatically gets full public healthcare from day one. And the reality of this is, a friend of mine last year was visiting in the States. He was visiting, he was traveling around the world. He did not have proper health insurance and travel insurance, and he found himself pretty sick around Christmas last year. Uh, he ended up having to go to hospital, had a suspected burst appendix, and was in hospital for 3 or 4 weeks. And I was visiting him every day. This was here in Madrid, where I was at the time. Um, I asked him yesterday, I was like, Sean, did you ever pay for that? He walked into hospital, into the emergency room, went into the hospital, stayed there for that period of time. They never actually gave him a bill. They never charged him for anything. So even though we say officially you have to be signed into the Social Security system, if there is an emergency, you can go into a hospital in Spain and you will be looked after, and they will care for you from leaving, from entering until leaving. And some hospitals, it seems, don't follow up on getting that, so getting the insurance to pay out for it as well. So you're very well covered. There, you do have to wait a little bit longer. You also get medical leave when you're paying into the Social Security system, so you can get long-term sick leave for both physical and mental health as well. And we'll look into it a bit more detail as well. Parental leave. If anyone is planning on starting or expanding their family, you get access to parental leave with some minimum requirements. You have to have paid in for 3 to 6 months, I think. I can get those exact details for you as well. And the big one is the pension. So those are all the benefits that you get here in Spain with Social Security. Let's look in a little bit more detail at what you get from that. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I want I want some questions, I want some Q&As as well while this is happening. But you get access to a health care professional, you get hospital care, you get subsidized prescriptions. So for a lot of prescriptions, once you go to the pharmacy, you will pay a fraction of the cost for whatever that prescription is. And if you're used to being in a system where you have to pay insurance, there's no excess to pay on this here in Spain. So great benefits in that sense. Next one is sick pay. This is really useful for if you are going to take some time off sick due to physical or mental health problems, you do get looked after. Now, the first 3 days, you don't get anything. So if it's a cold, if it's a virus, you aren't going to get anything for those first 3 days. But after those first 3 days, you are going to get something. And that something depends on how much you earn, how much you're declaring your salary to be. So you'd have your salary, and I've chosen 2 people, one person on 1,500 and one person on 3,600, 2 income brackets there. You need to calculate a day rate for that. So simply divide it by 30 days. Everything here in Spain, if you're paying for your travel card, it's not a monthly pass, it's a 30-day pass. the same with sick pay. It's not a month divided by 31, 30, 28, 29, depending on the month and the year, but it's just a straight 30 days. So a day rate for each of these people is going to be 50 euros or 120 euros. 1,500 divided by 30, 3,600 divided by 30. So for those first 3 days of being sick, there's nothing. But from day 4 to day 20, you're going to get 60% of your day rate for every day, including Saturdays and Sundays. Every day of the calendar month, you're going to get 60% from day 4 to day 20. And that can start being useful for you. For extended periods of time, so 21 days and above, you're going to get 75% of that day rate. So you're not going to be paying for a holiday, you're not going to be going out to a fancy restaurant, but you are going to be paying your rent, paying your bills, paying your groceries, all of those things. With one important thing, if it's an illness related to work, so if you fall off a ladder, if you're a contractor and you fall off a ladder and you break your arm, from day 1, you do get 75% coverage immediately. So work-related, immediate coverage. This does involve some paperwork. You're going to have to go online. You're going to have to fill in some things. If it's all done correctly, you get it. I do hear people online having to take months and months to get this. I can't speak for those people, but if your forms are filled in correctly, if you get like a gestor to help you with this, then everything will be fairly simple. Let's have a quick look at what that means for someone that's going to be long-term sick. If we have something serious happening, if you have a serious injury, if you have to go in for maybe some cancer treatment, which a couple of friends of mine have had done in the past, you do get up to a year standard. Everyone can have up to a year. And if after an assessment after 1 year, the doctors say, well, you've got a few more months and then you're going to be fully recovered, you can extend that up to 6 months. If the doctors do not think you're going to fully recover, then you would go on to disability benefits and things would change over. But that's worst case scenario. Let's all hope that those kind of things don't happen to us and think about more short, extended periods of time off sick. But if you're that 1,500 person going off sick for 1 or 2 months, then you're going to be looking at those two numbers there. So 60 to 75% of your salary is going to be covered in the first month. And then from month number 2, 75% is going to be covered. If you're that second person on 3,600, a much healthier amount, much closer to what you're used to having as well. Any questions from that one? Seems pretty nice. How does that stack up? How does that compare to people's home countries where they've come from?
So in the United States, we pay Social Security, but it only goes towards federally funded pension or comparable to that. That doesn't cover any medical or sick or anything like that. That's all separate insurance that we have to pay in addition to the FICA, which when you get to cost, I'll put the FICA information in here too so people can compare.
Yeah. Thank you, Vicky. Anyone come from anywhere else outside the States? So I'm from the UK. This is far better than the statutory sick pay that we get in the UK. The sick pay is something like £30 per day, and it doesn't raise. So if you're used to earning a hell of a lot more money than that, and you have higher expenditure because you live in the center of London and your rent is phenomenally high, then £30 per day is not going to help you. So it puts a lot of people off actually taking extended sick leave, which isn't good for recovery. So there's a main benefit there. Oh, Jamie.
Yes, I just had a question. Can you talk to how long does it take to get eligibility to be able to receive this? How long do you have to keep paying into the system? Thank you.
Yes. I'm gonna put are you in the group? Are you in the Thrive group?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that into there because I do have those details. I don't have them immediately to hand,
Okay.
but I
Thank you.
do have those details that I can put in after the session. I think it's 3 months, but it could be 6 months. So I am going to double check on that one. I think it's only 3 months. But thank you. Good question. Okay, parental leave. This is. Does anybody plan on having a family, starting a family, or increasing the size of their family? If no one says anything, then I'm going to go very quickly through this. But I just want to point out that it is very, it has increased a lot for people since, well, specifically for men, for the fathers. It's increased a lot from 6 days when I was here. But statutory parental leave for both parents is 16 weeks per parent, and you must use 6 weeks upon birth, but the other 10 weeks can be put anywhere over the next 12 months. So you can choose where to take your parental leave. Yeah, so it benefits your business because if we're Autónomo, we're self-employed. We've got clients that also depend on us. During your parental leave, during those weeks or multiple weeks that you choose to take, you cannot invoice. So you can't send an invoice to your client. But that doesn't mean you can't work for your client. So if you're taking time off, but you don't want to take 100% time off, and you know that you can work for 1 or 2 hours per day with certain clients, or that you can be available to them for emails and phone calls, you can do that. You just can't invoice for it at that time. So you can make an agreement with your clients to say, hey, I'll work for you and I'll still be here for you, but this invoice will happen next month or in 2 months' time. There's nothing to stop you from doing that. Now, I'm not saying that is black and white and the law says you can do that, but the law doesn't say you can't do that. So, use it to your advantage, because we're always worried about keeping our clients or losing our clients. So 16 weeks, both parents get that. Mothers also can have an extra 3 weeks lactating leave, and it's 100% of your base salary. So let's have a look at those numbers again. For somebody who is earning €1,500, you're going to get for 16 weeks, 5,600. If you're earning 3,600 for those 16 weeks, you're going to get over €13,000. So it's a very healthy parental leave package, and it comes with some extra benefits where during that time you don't have to pay into the Social Security system. So that's 16 weeks, which is about 4 months. So that's 4 months almost of not paying your quota, your monthly fees. And it's tax-free as well. So that 13,000 that you get stays as 13,000. That 5,600 you get stays as 5,600. You don't pay taxes, don't pay income tax on the parental leave payments that you get. So essentially, not taking your parental leave, you end up paying more money. But you do need to plan it in for your business needs. So if you're planning on having a family, starting a family, increasing the size of your family, speak with your clients, make sure that they know that that there are going to be periods of time that you're not going to be fully available for them. So some nice benefits. The pension. Jeff, you said that you're indefinitely here. Jamie, you said you're indefinitely here. Everybody else, you're indefinitely here. Vicky, everybody else, are you planning on staying or not planning on leaving Spain all the way through to your retirement? This is an open question to everyone. Maybe, yeah.
Some would say that I'm actually probably never going to retire. So
yes. Sil, I got you. Jeannie and Sil, you're still deciding, Sil. Jeannie, you're not sure about that one. This is the big one. So this is kind of what most of that contribution is going towards, and it is your pension. So later on, when we do look at this cost, it is going to be a bit of a struggle for somebody who knows they're not going to be here, because there is a cost involved in this. But the pension is one of the most generous EU pensions. It used to be second to Greece, the last I saw, but in general, people retire in Spain on average at around about 80% of their final salary. Yeah, Jamie, I see your face on that one. Jeannie, I don't know what there was an emoji, but I'm not sure what it was. But it's pretty hefty. It's much better than my UK pension, which I have part of as well. And it does involve some calculating. And I was really hoping that we could all like do a quick calculation on how much we think we're going to get. But there will be a link to a pension simulator in one of the documents that Vicky will share, either has shared or will share after this Q&A. But there is a simulator online to see that. Jeannie?
Yeah, so I am wondering if I'm only here for a few years. Being from the US, like I'm used to a pension where you have to pay in for a certain number of years before you can take it out.
Yes.
So do I need to pay in for a certain number of years? At what
Yeah.
age can I start taking it? And if I'm not living in Spain, can I still get it?
Right. Okay, then. So some very important caveats, especially for you on this one, Jeannie. So retirement age is 67 years old. Everyone retires at around about 67. It goes up. It might, by the time I retire, I'm 45. So by the time I retire, maybe I'm going to be planning at 68. It went up recently, but it hadn't gone up from 65 for many, many, many years. But currently it's 67 as retirement age. There is a minimum contribution period, and this is important. So the minimum amount is 15 years. And 15 years will get you 50% of what you're entitled to. So if your base salary is 1,500, then it'll get you 50% of that. If it's 3,600, it's going to get you 50% of that. And then the maximum is 38 years. So once you hit 15 years, you know you can get something out. And then for every year you add, you're going to get a bit more out of that as well. There's a really important caveat. It's a minimum of 15 years. And to claim that pension, you have to contribute your final 2 years. So as an example, Jeannie, if you are contributing now for 10 years, and then you leave the country, you must contribute 5 more years before 67, including the years 65 and 66. So, but also if you contribute for 20 years and leave the country, you must contribute the final 2 years. So you must start contributing at 65 and 66, and you'll gain 2 more years of contributions. So you'll end up with 22 years, but you must do that. You must plan that in. So if someone's going to be a bit more transient, so let's say they're going to spend 15 or 20 years here in Spain and then decide, I'm going to go somewhere really, I'm going to go to the Philippines, or I'm going to go to China, or I'm going to go somewhere completely different, or I'm going to go spend some more time back home. Oh, hold on, Genie 57. Yeah. Okay then. Thanks, Jeannie, for that update. So yeah, you're not going to hit that minimum, and this is the thing, Jeannie. This is the one where it's like a bit bitter because you're paying this contribution, but you're not going to get that big chunk out of it. Which I'm hoping that something happens soon regarding this because there are a lot of people on the digital nomad visas. Yes, Alfredo, great question. Yes. So those 15 years include other EU countries. So if you spend 5 years working in Germany, 5 years working in Hungary, 5 years working in Spain, then you've got 15 years. Yeah, that answers your question as well. Great. That is so EU countries, and there are other countries around the world that have bilateral agreements with Spain. You can find these out online. You can speak to an advisor. My recommendation is that you do both of those things and get a few different sources because it's rare to find somebody that knows everything about everything. So get a few different sources on that one. But a lot of South American countries have bilateral agreements. The US has a bilateral agreement. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but all EU countries, simply put, the time you spend contributing, each year you spend is a contribution to the Spanish one as well. So 15 years minimum, 38 years gets your maximum. And along that, you go from 50% to 100% of your base. Now that base is worked out, it does require a little bit of maths. So there is a calculation. This is the bit of maths for people to do, but is also done automatically. You get your last 25 years of contributions if you've done 25 years, or less if you've only done 15 years, then you take 15 years. And then you do a smaller calculation with it. But let's say that everyone's going to be here for 25 years for this calculation. You get the average of your base contributions for 25 years, and then which is 300 months, 25 years, 300 months, and then you divide that number by 350. And the reason you do this is because in Spain, there's this unusual system where you get double payments at Christmas in December and double payments in the summer. So you get 14 payments of a pension over the course of a year. 2 in June and 2 in December. So that's why you divide it by 350. Otherwise, you would just be taking your average salary, average base contribution over your years of contributing. And then you times it by that percentage. You know, if you've been here for 15 years, 50%. If you've been here for 38 years, 100%. If you've been here for 30 years, 85%. You can find these online. It tells you exactly what each year counts towards. But you can also just have a bit of a guesstimate along that line. And there's also one extra thing. Hold on, who said they were going to continue working? Jeannie, you said no intention of working more. I think Jeff, you said you might carry on working, or did you want it to, or you were going to work less?
Well, actually, for me, it would be yeah, I would love to be able to cash in at some point and have some retirement. I know my spouse certainly would like to have that. Yeah, you know what? And I'm thinking to myself doing the math. I'll be 54 this year, so I'm like, can I make it can I make the 15? Can I make that work? Seems like a long way
Mm,
out there though, too. So
yeah. I mean, these are decisions to make for some people. Some people that are closer to retirement age and who want to take early retirement. If you bug out of that social security system, then it means you're not going to pay your social security fees, but you're still going to have entitlement to the healthcare system because you have paid in for a minimum amount and you're taking early retirement. Um, uh, you can choose to keep on contributing a certain amount into the system and then take it out afterwards. But you would need to decide, is it beneficial for you? You know, financially, is that a beneficial way of doing things? That's completely down to you and your financial advisors, for sure. But for anybody that plans on doing some random work after 67, I personally want to continue doing woodwork and making things out of wood. I can choose to carry on working beyond that. And for each year that I work, I get an extra 4% added on to my base. So I can earn 104 or 108% of my final salary as well, or an average of my average salary. So those are all the benefits. That's what we're paying in for, everybody. We've got healthcare, we've got sick leave, we've got parental leave, we've got the retirement. Those are all the things that we're getting out of this. Let's have a look at how much it costs to do that. And I think that's the key thing. That's probably why we're here today. We want to know, how much does an Autónomo contribute to this? Before we look at how much an Autónomo contributes to this, I want to have a look at how much a regular employee contributes. So any contracted person in Spain, from their salary, they're paying just over 6%. So if we look at someone taking 3,000 euros, they're going to be paying just under 200 euros a month as social security contributions. And their employer pays just under 30% of their salary as a contribution. So you've got two people contributing. You've got your employer and your employee. And in total, that'll come to just over 36% of someone's salary becomes their contribution. And earlier on, we talked about Autónomos paying more. Well, this is where Autónomos do pay less. But if you're an employee, you're going to have just over 36% as your contribution. So just over 1,000 euros is a social security contribution for that 3,000 euro employee. So it's a fair chunk of money going in. It's what pays for the health system. It's what pays for the parental leave. It's what pays for the pension. Now, an Autónomo contributes through their monthly quota, which is a word that a few people might recognize. Jamie, for you, this is your monthly contribution, your social security payment. Some people call it the Autónomo tax. I don't like calling it a tax, but whatever you want to call it, that's what it is. It's your contribution or it's your quota. And for an Autónomo, it is, I've skipped a little bit here. So yeah, for an Autónomo, it's 31.5% of your earnings, or what you declare your earnings to be. Now, who did I speak to earlier on? You were saying you were paying 440, I think. Was it you, Jamie, or was it Jeannie?
I think it was Jeannie.
Yeah, it was Jeannie.
Yeah, that was me.
Yes, thank you, Jeannie. So would that be 31% of your earnings, or do you think that's less than of what you're earning?
Doing some math here.
Yeah, I'll let you do that math, and I want a quick mention of why. Why is it different? Why is an employee having more money taken for Social Security? And that's the very simple reason of unemployment benefits. So when in Spain, when an employee is loses their job, now whether they're fired or whether there's a redundancy package or whether the company goes bust, however the employee loses their job without saying I quit, they're entitled to what's called paro, which is unemployment benefits. Um, it is done as a percentage of salary, but it also has a cap. I think the cap is around about 1,200 euros a month. So if you're earning 3,000 euros a month, it's capped at about 1,200. If you have dependents, if you have kids, the number of kids you have also will increase that a little bit. But everyone has the entitlement to some unemployment benefits for up to 2 years after they lose their job so that they can find a new one. Jeannie, how's your maths going there? How did it compare to what your monthly income is?
I put it in the chat there.
Oh yeah. Oh, thank you. Let me have a look. All right. So you are paying your base. Okay. This is a useful thing when we look at the next part here. Mm,
So while you're switching over, I'm dropping in the chat what we do in the US that's comparable, and that's our FICA. The total is
mhm,
15.3%, but again, that's only that retirement. It doesn't include any of the rest of it. There's a little bit of Medicare, but that's medical after retirement as well. And the difference
mm.
is if you're employed, then you pay 50%, your employer pays 50%, but if you're self-employed, you pay the entire 15.3%, and then it caps out at the about 185,000 a year.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Vicky. Really appreciate it. So it's let's just say the US is about half of what um, Spain is when it comes to that 31.5% number. Um, so if somebody, we're going to look at those two employees again, that 1,500 employee, their contribution is going to be about 473. And that 3,600 euro employee, their contribution is going to be up over 1,000 euros, which is a chunk of money. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that we are talking about big bits of money here. And I do want to talk about that just after this next bit here. I think we're coming towards the end of the Q&A, and I really want to talk about that reframe. But how are these things calculated these days? Now, some of you may have seen something that looks like this when you're speaking with your gestor, when they send emails, when you're online, when you're in Facebook groups. These are the tramos or the bands of income, the income level bands, how your quota is calculated based on how much you earn. And this is for 2026. There are 12 main bands, and they start off at just over 1,000 euros per month, and they go up to over 6,000 euros. So they max out at the top there. Well, actually, they max out a little bit before the top. Each of these has what's called a base minima and a base maxima. And this is where things get a bit weird because now you're choosing. You get to choose in this line whether you're declaring your maximum base or this minimum base. But what is a little bit strange is that if you are somebody who's earning 2,100 euros a month after they've deducted everything off, you can choose to pay up to 2,300 or down to 1,274, which is below the minimum of the band. And that's like the strange thing that's happening in 2026, the same as 2025 and 2024. And I want to talk I want to talk very quickly about why this exists. When I arrived here in 2015, I became an Autónomo, but most people I knew were just declaring this set number of about 270, 280 euros per month. Everyone, whether they were earning 1,000 euros, whether they were earning 5,000 euros, a lot of people were just declaring, or they were paying 270, 280 euros a month. And the reason was Social Security and Hacienda, tax office, tributario, agencia tributario, the income tax people didn't talk to each other. They weren't linked. So you could declare to the Social Security people that you were earning 1,000 euros a month minimum wage and you were paying 270 euros of Social Security fees, but you could be earning any amount of money, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. Which meant that the Social Security system wasn't having everything paid into it, but also people were getting to retirement. They were thinking about retiring, but they weren't getting the retirement money they were expecting they were going to get. Everyone was thinking, oh, I'm going to get almost my final salary. Everyone talks about it being 80% of your final salary, but they weren't getting that because everyone back then, not everyone, most of the people I knew were paying this minimum amount, the minimum wage, minimum amount. So shoot forward to 2022, the government issued what was called the Decreto Real 13/2022. And this was a regularization order. And it was saying that everyone who's an Autónomo is going to have to start paying 31.5% of their earnings as their Autónomo fee, as their contribution. But it didn't happen, and it isn't going to happen straight away. There's going to be a regularization period between 2023 and 2032. So we're currently in the first third of that regularization period, which means that every year our contribution, our minimum contribution, is going to get higher and higher. So right now, somebody who's earning about 2,000 euros a month can choose to pay the minimum or the maximum. Think of it like a sliding scale. You can be down here at the minimum, paying declaring that you're earning 1,200, or you can be declaring you're earning 2,300, or I think like Jeannie's doing, actually declaring the monthly base as what you currently are earning and paying 31.5% of that. But you need to pay 31.5% of whatever you're declaring. I realize there's a lot of numbers up on the screen now. So does anybody have any questions at this particular point? It's completely open to everyone for questions.
So just for clarification, the base minimum and maximum, that's the monthly income, and you're going to pay 31.5% on that income that you're declaring.
Yeah. And it's what you're declaring. It's what you or your gestor has gone online into your Social Security system using your digital signature, or you yourself will do this as well. And you're declaring, okay, this is my base. This is how much I'm earning. And you can choose anywhere on that line. You can go for the minimum. You can go for the maximum. And actually, if you really want to, You can go up to Tramo 7, Tramo 8, Tramo 9 and pay more and more and more. Obviously, you're going to be paying 31.5% of that. So it would be a bit strange for you to be paying huge amounts. But your benefit will be from those amounts as well. And this kind of is where I see people at the moment. Everyone talks about the minima. Everyone's talking about paying. This is my minimum. I'm paying the base, and they could be paying much less than what they're actually earning, or they could be declaring much less than what they're actually earning, which affects all of their benefits. So if you're planning on having a kid, if you're sick, if you're long-term sick, but the main one for me and for a few other people is that retirement pension as well.
So then going back to the beginning where we're looking at the percentage that you would get for, sick or those other benefits, it's not based on your actual income, but it's based on this bracket that you picked, or
Yeah. And in 2026, you're given this lower base because every year until 2032, we're aiming to get up to it being closer to the real base. So can you see my mouse on the screen?
Yeah, we can.
If I'm moving it? Yeah, excellent.
Yes.
So this is the declared minimum that you can have. But as each year progresses, 2027, 2028, 2029, it's going to get closer to the real bracket, the real band that you're in. With the aim being that in 2032, this number here will be this number here, 2030. And the same for every other bracket. So for those earning a lot more, if you're on 3,600, so let's look at those 1,500, 3,600 employees from earlier on. So 3,600, you would be in Tramo 9. And you can choose to pay your minimum of 1,500 or anywhere along that line as well to 3,600, with every benefit that you take being related to that base that you choose. Now, I think Sil, you said this, Jeff, Jeannie maybe as well. For the people that aren't retiring, this is that big kind of like the like, oh, why am I paying for a pension that I'm not going to get? That's tough. I really feel for you. It's really tough. At the moment, there is a one stream system. Everyone who's an Autónomo in Spain, whether you are a Spanish national, whether you're here on a DNV, whether you're here permanently on long-term residency, everyone is in the same Autónomo system. There isn't a two-tier system for people that aren't paying into for their retirement. So right now, as each year progresses, you are going to be asked to pay more and more until you're paying a real 31.5% of your net earnings. And I think, I can't remember who said this one earlier on. We were talking about who's paying this. And that's where I want to finish, is who is paying your contributions? Because right now, a lot of people, myself included, I feel that I'm paying my contributions. I know that I earn this amount of money and I have to pay my monthly quota every single month. But for an employee, a regular employee, they're only paying 6%. And their employer is paying about 30%. So I guess what I would like to reframe for myself and what I really want to like share and spread among the Autónomo world is we need to get our clients to contribute, just like an employer contributes for an employee, our clients can contribute for us. What does that look like? Realistically, can I just go to my clients tomorrow and say, hey, I'm going to add 31% onto my invoice next month. And I hope you're going to pay it. Realistically, that can't happen for me. I don't know about any of you people, but I can't do that for my clients. But what I do normally do every single year is add my own personal pay rise onto my invoices. So I'm always adding a percentage I do mine in October because I like to get it done before Christmas kicks in, not in January when people are like already worried about money. I'm an October pay rise person. I give myself a pay rise in October. I add that percentage onto my invoices. For you to get to a 30% contribution for your clients by 2032, so over the next 7 years, you just need to add between 4 to 6% onto your invoices. And that will compound up every year to get to that 30% mark for your clients, your customers to start contributing. And that's kind of where I'm finishing today. But I really am open to all of your questions on this one because I don't know. I have all my knowledge and I don't know where people's blind spots are. But I don't want to say you need to be paying for this because it's tough. It's really difficult out there. It's really, really difficult. So what does everybody think about this? Open to the floor. Go for it,
Hi.
Jamie.
This is so helpful. I just want to say thank you to both you and Vicky for putting this together. It's possible I'll have even more maybe questions later, and I don't know what they are yet, but this was incredibly helpful. So thank you for explaining it. And the pension, I'm going to be honest, I didn't even know that. So I'm like, wowee, that's exciting.
Yeah.
My question is, I'm in a position right now where I'm sort of thinking about it backwards. I'm looking at now that we're here, we've been here about maybe 8 months. I'm looking at like, what do I need to earn in a month to pay my bills? Like, what do I actually need to have in my pockets, in my bank account after I pay stuff out? So, would I be correct in thinking, I don't know that these are the numbers, but I'm just throwing numbers out there. If I need 2,000 euros to pay my bills, my rent, my groceries, my utility, all that stuff, little savings, whatever. If I need to have that in my account, I want to try to earn around 3,000 euros a month because 31% is going to my am I thinking of that in the
What
right way?
great. Well, you're halfway there.
Okay.
You're halfway. In fact, you're exactly halfway there. Because yeah, if you want to have 2,000 euros in your pocket and that pays for all your groceries and that pays for your savings and your holidays, then
Hmm.
yes, you want to add on 30% for your social security. But you also want to add on about, and a good rule of thumb is about 20% more for your income tax, which when you actually, I said add on 20%. No, that's not a way to think about it because you got to go backwards. You want to double it. So you want to, whatever you're taking in, whatever your invoice
Hmm.
is 30% of your invoice is your social security, 20% of your invoice is your income tax, and then 50% of your invoice is yours. So
Okay.
if you want 2,000 euros, you want to invoice 4,000 euros as a
Okay.
good rule of thumb.
Okay.
I think we spoke a bit about this, Vicky, a few weeks ago. We talked
Yeah.
about like a certain salary and
Yeah, and I
yeah.
like we have in the community knowledge share, we have like an example of paying income tax. I'll do another example that does the same thing, just like you're talking about. So
Thank you.
when you put those both together, and I'll look at it. I'll look at I'll do the 1,500 and then 36 and maybe 10 grand, just so people can
That
kind of
would be
see how that
great.
compares. But I love the message here is that, yeah, if we're stuck with the prices that we have, then this looks really super scary. But if we design our offers and our pricing around what it takes to live where we are, all of the cost, tax included, now we can start preparing for these things. And then I love the, talking about all the benefits, because these are benefits that coming from the US we frankly just don't have. We're paying all of this out of pocket. And for me, and again, I recognize that this is one of the benefits of being from the US. It's not the same thing for everybody else, but for me it's like, oh yeah, I'd much rather pay that tax than my health care and my long-term insurance and my everything else. Now again, I want to be conscious of the people that are here that aren't in that same experience, but that's kind of, for me it's like, okay, it sounds like a lot, but when I look at the money I was paying out of pocket to cover those kind of things, it's really not. And either way, I would be building it into my pricing, so at the end of the day I can pay my rent and buy my food.
Hmm. Excellent. Thank you. Great question, Jamie. Does anyone else have any other questions?
I have a question about the quota and the income tax, because those are supposed to be compared at the end of the year, and you have to pay Social Security if you earn more than what you declare in your base. But that's not happening right now. It's like they are progressively, they are not crossing information at this point.
Right, good. So now they are talking. But the basis, I'm going to go
Yes.
back and share one of the screens. Can I go back to this one here? This one here, right?
Yeah.
So during this regulation phase from 2023 to 2032, we are given much lower bases. So our monthly, let's look at the Trinamo 6 there. So our monthly base is 1,274, even if we're earning 2,000 euros. So if we tell the tax office that we're earning 2,000 euros a month, we only have to pay the quota for 1,274. And if we tell the tax office that we're earning 4,000 euros a month, we only need to pay the quota for 1,600. So right now, if you're earning a lot of money, if you're very lucky to have lots of clients giving you lots of their money and you're having a great time, you're really benefiting from this regularization period.
I see.
But each year, 2027, 2028, 2029, your payment, that minimum, is going to jump up. And it's going to jump up in much bigger steps for the people that are the higher earners as well. So yes, each year the tax office tells Social Security, okay, this person should have paid over the year 2,500 euros of Social Security. Is that about right? No, that's too little. 4,000 euros Social Security over the course of a 12 months. And if they look at your payment and you've only paid 3,800, they will send you a bill and say, hey, you owe us 200 euros extra. Can you give it to us? But if you have paid way more because you thought you were going to earn a lot more, but it turns out something happened in November and December and you earned nothing, they will send you a letter saying, if you want, we'll give you some money back. But you have to tell us that you want us to give you the money back. It's beneficial to keep it in there if you're closer to retirement age, because then you'll get a better pension. But if you're not, if you're like if it's so far away that it doesn't matter, take that money back while you still can and invest it back into your business. Do something nice with it.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
But yeah, they are talking now. And it's a year behind. So when you do your Declaración de la Renta in April, May, June, they will, once everyone's done everything, they'll send a big file off to Social Security, and then Social Security will then cross-reference with how much you earned, how much you said you were, how much Social Security you pay, and if you're okay, if you're within that tramo, that band, then They don't say anything. Last year, I had to pay €1.76 extra.
The other thing that
Um,
just popped out to me, and I think you said this, and I was probably like doing something over here, but once we hit 5,100 euro, then it's not going to go up anymore.
no, yeah. So your maximum that anyone can pay in 2026 is 5,100. So if you're earning €6,000 a month, your quota can only be your base can only be 5,100, and your quota can only be 31.5% of that. That goes up every year, usually in line with inflation. So it goes up 3 or 4 or 5% depending on what inflation is for that year. But there is a maximum that you can pay into. Okay. Well, Jamie.
Thank you. I'll be quick. I don't mean to take over the whole thing. One quick question about the pension payments for those of us who will hopefully be here to receive those. Do we, forgive me if this is a very ignorant question, but I have no idea. Do we get taxed on those payments, or
Good
do they just
question.
land in
Yeah.
our account?
Yeah, no, pension is you are still an earner
Okay.
even after you retire in Spain. It's different to the States, different to the UK. No, the UK you now pay taxes. You pay income tax on your pension as well. But some places you don't pay income tax on your pension. Here you do pay income tax on your pension.
But just the
Yeah,
income tax at about 20% portion, depending on how much.
yeah. Yeah. And yeah, exactly. The lower your pension, the lower your banding for that, but the higher, then yeah, you're going to be up to around about 20% as a ballpark for a higher earner. But also, if you're taking in money from other sources as well, that's all going to compound on, and you pay income tax on everything. At those points. I don't know. At those points, it might be more beneficial to think about retiring somewhere nice where you can claim that nice Spanish pension, but maybe not pay income tax on it if you're in another location. Okay. Well, I think the main reframe for me, I really want people to walk away thinking, oh, not thinking this is so expensive, but like, all right, what do I need to do today? And some of the things you can do today is thinking about how you can price in that increase for your clients and for your customers. Start doing it now in little things, in little pieces, and start giving them the responsibility of your social security contributions, just as you would with VAT, value added tax, sales tax, just as you do with like the costs of your business. Like you need to buy a new phone, you need to buy a new laptop, you've got bills to pay, you've got a home office, you've got co-working space. All of those are deductions that your clients pay for. Make sure they're also paying for your social security as well. And that's that. Thank you so much, everyone, for today. I'm looking forward to any questions that anyone else has that they put into the feedback form. Jamie, I said I'm going to release the minimum requirements for when taking sick leave and parental leave into the chat with a source as well. I got the source from one of the government websites.
Yeah, we'll start adding it to our wiki too, so we have a lot of good information. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Rob. This was hugely useful. I look forward to doing it again. And again, I've just put links out there. There's one that says questions, ask here. That's going to add it to the
Mhm.
question bank so that we can make sure this presentation the next time is more inclusive of that
Mhm.
and do some more examples as well. Because like the example
Yeah.
I was talking about, that's something I think we can bring forward to bring kind of that visual to, oh, that's what you're talking about. So
Yeah.
yeah, thank
Yeah.
you so much, Rob, and thank you all
Yeah.
for showing up.
One final thing. So, like I've actually forgotten to talk about a bit about me, but yes, I do run workshops on helping people become autonomo, and that involves the paperwork that they have to do, the tax paperwork. What is a deductible? What can you deduct? How you work out your quota, your monthly payments, and you can get all that through www.beingautonomo.com. Nice, easy website there.
I just dropped it in the chat for you, all on its own, not buried in a list.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, take care. Have
All
a
right.
wonderful Thursday, and hopefully I'll see you or I'll hear from you over the course of the next few weeks.
All right. Thanks, Rob. Thank you,
Bye
everybody.
bye.
Bye.